Kanavos show, everyone, on New Earth TV, and I'm your host, Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos, aka the Queen of Dreams, but my friends all call me Kat, so I hope you will too. If our dreams are a microcosm of our waking world, is it any wonder so many of us are having COVID-19 dreams? Well, I have a special guest for you tonight. She's actually the producer of New Earth TV, Rachel Love, and she's coming on to discuss her COVID-19 dreams. And I had one myself that just had validation the other day, and we're going to talk about validation and how that's a really important part of your dream world, to see if you're having a dream that's maybe just letting you let go of excessive energy or get rid of some angst, or is there validation in your dream? Is it giving you some important information? So welcome to the show, Rachel Love.
Hello, everybody. Wish I would have done my nails, but as you know, the nail shops are shut down right now.
Mine are really dark, so fortunately, it looks like you can't see how far they've grown out, but what are you going to do? We're just hanging in there day by day.
It's been quite a challenge. And you're right about the dreams. I mean, you are the queen of dreams. Nobody can ever disagree about that. I've called you many times with the weirdest dreams, and you've been, that means this and this and this. And we've had discussion before other dreams, so I'm excited to talk about the COVID dreams. I know with this changing times, I imagine the spirit world's really trying to give us a message.
Oh, I agree. I couldn't agree more, because they're always aware of what's going on. They know what's going to happen before it happens. And I'm sure there were many people who were having dreams about COVID, but didn't necessarily know what they meant until it hit. Just like 9/11. I had massive dreams about 9/11 before they hit. And then it actually started 4 days before 9/11 happened, when I would wake up in the middle of the night. My room would be so hot, it felt like it was on fire. I could smell bodies burning. My husband was in the bedroom with me. He could smell bodies burning. The room was so hot, we couldn't stay in there. I thought that there was an electrical fire in the wall, and actually called an electrician. Mm-hmm. And as soon as we would walk out of the bedroom into the hallway, everything was cool. As you stepped over the threshold into the bedroom, it was hot. So people are having similar dreams with COVID-19, because it's like we're under attack again, but this time it's with this super bug. Instead of having airplanes flying into towers, we've got viruses coming into our bodies. So you drew a card.
I did do a
for
card
tonight.
I love this little deck here. I use it quite a bit in my practice. But I pulled a card for the show, and it says, "Seeing the True You." And it's a beautiful card. But I think the spirit world is trying to tell us that this is all about seeing the truth and who we are, not so much what people tell us we are, or what loved ones or even enemies tell us who we are, or society, but who we really are is important. This is a time of really reflecting. Anytime you're facing death, and the reality is that this is killing people, and we don't know if it's our time or not time. Of course, we never knew anyway, but that being reintroduced over and over again through social media and the newscasts and our neighbors, and being stuck in the house for most part, plenty of time to think about things, we're dealing with death. It's plain and simple. And either you are angry about it, or you reject it, or ignore it, but most of the time you make some kind of changes. And I can hear the spirit world, especially through this card, showing that it is a time to see the true you. It really is a great time to reflect on who you really are as a person, as a spirit. So that's what
I agree.
I got.
And I hope I'm not putting you on the spot when I say this, but I know that it wasn't that long ago that you were reflecting on life and death, because you were in a horrible motorcycle accident that was not your fault. Someone hit you from behind, and you almost died. So you've been doing some intense reflection for a while now.
Well, since the beginning of the year, I felt before the year, after Christmas, whatever, I was really hearing from Spirit there's going to be some major changes coming on, and I was looking forward to 2020 with these major changes. because I'm always a very positive outlook type person. Even with the accident almost killed me, I say, well, it almost killed me. It didn't kill me, so it's okay. But it still hurt like hell. But all that saying, I've seen positive change in 2020. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was kind of surprised that it was this virus thing and how we reacted to it. I think the way we reacted to it kind of shows our political views and stuff too, is obviously coming out. So everything that we've kept in the closet, everything we've tried to be like everybody else, is all being exposed and being re-examined. And you wear those colors proudly, or you take them back off and you're ashamed of them, but there's a lot of changing going on. So yes, I've done a lot of changing myself, but I think now the whole world's doing some changing.
Yeah, and you bring out an interesting point there about, we've got to bring this out into the open. It's like we're cleaning out our closets. We've been sweeping a lot of dirt into the closet, stuffing it in the back and ignoring it. And suddenly we're finding that there are rats nesting in there. And we've got to clean those closets out, evaluate what we have hanging around, what fits us, what doesn't fit us anymore, and what we need to do to fill our closet with only those things that are of the highest and best for us. So we've had time to reflect on that by being locked up in the houses. It's given us time to come to terms with those things that are really important to us, like our loved ones. Either we're going to come out of this stronger in our relationships, or battered, bruised, and dragging our legs behind us. This is either a time where we're going to be stronger or we're going to be all beat up. So, we were talking about the importance of this show because we're having COVID dreams. So I'm going to go ahead and let you share your dream first, Rachel.
I'll get back into the right place now. I was daydreaming while you were talking about living in a motorhome with somebody that didn't work out very well and being confined. So sorry. Center, here we go. The dream I had the other night, which was really vivid, and it hit pretty hard. And it was a lot of people going to plastic surgeons to try to get the damage or the scars from this COVID pandemic, this world pandemic, 2020 pandemic, trying to remove the evidence that they were involved in it so they could look more beautiful. Right now, it's the triangle-shaped face, it's the color eyes, it's the shape of the head, it's the size of this and the bottoms, and we're always trying to imitate this particular look so we look more beautiful. But this dream, people were worrying about the fact that the face is a little puffy from taking too much medicine or something, or these different really weird things. But it was basically showing me that the virus left a mark in people, and the people that had that mark were considered inferior or not as healthy, not as beautiful. So people were going on trying to remove the evidence that they were involved in the pandemic. And I thought that was really bizarre. That, it was health and wellness was the most important, beautiful thing at the time. And if they couldn't be there for real, they'd faked it with plastic surgery. But either way, they were really trying to hide the evidence of being ill or having some problems or even going through this thing. Maybe it's like a mark of society. Like, I'm old enough to have the chickenpox scar. They took us in school and lined us up and shot us in the arm. They also gave us the polio sugar cubes too back in the day. So you really know how old I am. That helped me one time coming through the Mexican border back before we had to have a passport, because they saw my scar and realized I was obviously born in America a long time ago, whatever, and let me through. But removing the marks, the dream was about removing the marks, removing the indication that we actually went through the pandemic to be more beautiful. And I gave that a lot of thought, trying to, what is that all about, And I approached you about it, so I'd really like to talk with you about what you think that would be, where beauty is no longer so much the triangle shape of our face, the size of our breasts, the size of our butt, or how shaped our legs are, but the fact that we looked healthy and had no obvious signs that we went through the pandemic. In this case, the pandemic, it seemed to left bigger heads, bigger faces or something, which I thought was important, more rounded, more bigger faces. And anyway, do you have any ideas on what that dream might be saying? There you go. I'll put you on the spot.
What an interesting dream. Here in the dream, people are going to their physicians within. That's what they're going to their physicians within to help them heal from this pandemic, which has cause them to be scarred. And many people are going to be scarred from this pandemic. They're going to be emotionally scarred because their relationships are going to fall apart, along with their wealth, their businesses. And so they've gone to the doctors to erase that because there's such a strong desire to go back to what we imagined is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no real perfect on the earth plane. Everything is flawed. That's how we know we're on earth and not in heaven. But in these dreams, we have such a strong desire because this COVID has changed our lives drastically. This is like being back in the Great Depression, but overnight. It's like overnight this pandemic hit the world, and now everybody wants to go back to where they were. But the truth of the matter is, it's impossible. There's going to need to be some surgery. We're going to need to cut out some things in our lives, in our bodies, in us that aren't good for us. Even as a country, if we not just look at ourselves as individuals, but as a whole country, we cannot allow that which is so important to our well-being, to our physical well-being, to be produced somewhere else where it can be used against us and held against us, so that we're held hostage. There are going to be a lot of changes, and suddenly that which we thought was so perfect, so beautiful, those angular faces, the big voluptuous boobs, the big butts, it's going to be replaced with something that's a little more substantial now.
Yeah.
Health is going to be on the front line. And if you think about it, for the longest time in our culture, everybody was desirous of being extremely, extremely skinny. Mm-hmm. Little tiny heads, mm-hmm. Great big boobs, little mm-hmm. tiny waist, great big butt. And that's not healthy because a lot of it was not natural. And now all of a sudden, maybe our dreams are saying, we need to take a good look at what we think is beautiful and healthy, because many of us have died from this, and others of us are going to be changed forever. And maybe our focus needs to be healthy on the inside and focus a whole lot less on how skinny our waist is, how skinny our head is, and how big our boobs are.
Yes, and I also think there's an economic feature in the dream too, because it used to be the rich and famous that were put on pedestals more now, but now it's the people that are serving food at takeout, or Walmart restocking the food, or the nurses and doctors and stuff. It's mm-hmm. the athletes and the actors and stuff, and the rich and powerful. They're not really taking forefront. Of course, we got the politics and we got that stuff where everybody still gets on the bandwagon, but it's showed that what's most important is taking care of others. It's turned out to be the number one job. The essential workers are those that are helping others, as mm-hmm. opposed to being worshipped. I thought there was something connected with that also.
Oh, I think there is, absolutely. And if you think about it, as I'm listening to you talk that through, if you look at what was really life-saving, something that's going to make somebody's heart beat stronger, it's looking up at that health worker who has a mask on their face and that hat on their head, and they're wide. They're big, they're round, and they're looking down at you, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, I'm not alone. This person is going to help me. I'm going to be okay. Okay. So I know that in my dream, I had an interesting dream.
Yes. Good thing, because I just pulled a card asking what we should do next, and it showed collaborative dreaming. So, good.
Oh my gosh, did it really?
Yeah. So thank you.
So in my dream, I'm just walking. I'm going through my dream, and I've got people in the dream with me, and we're walking around and we're talking. We're having a good time. But I notice to the right of me, and remember, your right is always your future. Mm-hmm. To the right of me, there are these two little furry balls that are orange, and it's almost like they're connected by a tubular leash. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like a tube runs between them. It's not really big. They're pretty close, but not touching each other. There's a space between them. and they keep following me through the dream without touching me or touching any of my dreamers. And I keep looking over at them to see if they're still there. And I kept thinking to myself, that's strange. Why are they so orange? Why are they so bright orangey red like that? Because as a scuba diver, anything underwater that's a bright orangey red, you don't touch ever. That's a sure sign that something's poisonous, something can kill you. Don't touch it. Look at it. It could be beautiful, but don't touch it. Red coral, anything like that, you leave it alone. Nudibranchs,
Or like fire.
Jellyfish.
Yeah.
They have blood red in it. You know, on fire, don't touch. So I'm watching these things out of the corner of my eye going, what the heck are those? And a voice said, COVID. And so when I woke up, I thought, isn't that interesting? They were a pair, or they were twins, and they were connected somehow by a tube. And I'm wondering, and then I was reading a scientific article on
like
the internet,
tube
and it showed the COVID virus under the microscope, and they're that bright kind of fuzzy orangish red, and there were two of them on the slide, and they seemed to be connected by a tube. I'm wondering if that tube connection might show that it's not just one virus, but a combined two virus, like twins.
I did read somewhere, but you never know what you read anymore, that there was like A, B, and C type COVID, or corona, actually. The corona creates the COVID. That there was 3 different types, and that it's probably been around here longer than we expected, and the type in China was different than the type in Australia or the type in America. And so there's all kinds of speculation where this came from. But I think that's interesting, both of them. But also being connected would think of me as a test tube, or fitting together something, or creating something. Take 2 things, creating one. So I don't know if you're getting a prophecy when we look down the road 5 years from now, if it comes out something happened like that, or what's that?
Time will tell. Yeah. Only time will tell. Well, we've come to the end of our show. Thank you, Rachel, so much for being on. We always love to talk about dreams, and I love having Rachel pull her cards for the dreams. And it's interesting, but Rachel just had an alligator in her backyard in Florida. And alligators in dreams are our deepest fears coming to the surface. So isn't it interesting that, COVID is like one of our deepest fears, dying of this virus alone, not being able to breathe, and the alligators are kind of coming to the surface. So just a synchronicity. So until next time, everybody, remember, everybody dreams, but some dreams save lives. So tune in again next Tuesday night for more New Earth TV, and I'm your host, Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos, a.k.a. Kat. Good night.
Good night, everybody.